Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on prog rock band Genesis, and we're continuing on with the boys today. Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford, Phil Collins, Steve Hackett, Chester Thompson, Peter Gabriel, and a few others. And last video, we looked at their music career. We looked at the 15 studio albums and selling between 100 and 150 million albums worldwide. A few awards these guys have received: 1977, the Silver Clef Award. In 1988, they received the Grammy for one of the videos we'll get onto in a second. 2007 VH1 Rock Honors. 2012 Progressive Music Award Lifetime Achievement Award. That was an inaugural year for those awards. 2010 the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. Some of the things that were actually said about Genesis at that final award: rebellious, reckless, always pushing the edges. They weren't scared to break musical barriers and break new ground. The band, and it was a true band, these guys become greater than individuals. They realised that music is the greatest thing a band can ever do, so they put their own egos aside for the sake of the music, and due to that they had an explosion of energy. And there certainly was vigor and melodic genius in these guys. These guys were doing hammering on the guitar fretboard before Eddie Van Halen was, and Steve Hackett in particular has influenced many guitarists after him. Now, there's a bit of a common thread to the songs today, and I thought what I'd do is I'll just go through them, and they're all in the description below, and I thought I'd talk about them as we go. We've got Mama. This is from the 1983 album Genesis. Now, this is an absolutely stunning song. This one is so good on production, so good in build-up. The vocals by Phil Collins are absolutely staggeringly good in this one, including some pretty dramatic stuff in the middle. And the drums by Chester Thompson, what can we say? They're absolutely amazing. We've got a live version of that particular song, and it's all about relationships, heartbreak, and all that sort of stuff, and the fact that sometimes we don't really understand why things happen the way they do. And it's a classic case of just not understanding. I think that's one of the biggest things. Now, we ask that why question: why did this thing happen? And there's just dead silence. But that word, that three-letter word, goes round and around and around and around and around in your head until you get frustrated, as Phil Collins actually is in this particular song. And so, it's a classic case of there's some things we're not going to be able to understand no matter how hard we try. And this concept of understanding is going to continue through these next few songs. We then got Land of Confusion. We're talking 1986 from the Invisible Touch album. This particular video, the official clip, won an award, a Grammy Award, and this is a classic case of, hey, the world has gone a bit strange and no one really understands what's happening. We don't understand why we just can't get on with each other, and why politicians can't do things to actually benefit humanity and mankind. And I suppose there's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, particularly the way this video has been done, about the state of the world as it was in the 1980s. It was an interesting time, that is for sure. And it enabled Genesis to provide some commentary, and as they have done as many times during their career, about the state of the world and what it was like, particularly in that time, and and I think Land of Confusion is still actually the case, well and truly. You look at Ukraine and Russia, this is one spot. Africa's getting obliterated by minority groups at the moment, and the world's not in a good place. It well and truly is a land of confusion, but there's no one that seems to lead us out of it. This is one of the issues we've got. We then got Invisible Touch, which is all about a girl leading the lyricist on, and it doesn't matter what he does, she's just not going to touch her. but she's so beautiful and compelling that she just has a hold on him, but she uses that to her advantage. Let's face it, guys do that as well. So let's just keep it even here. But the whole understanding of why relationships do what they do and why we use each other the way that we do. Now, a little while ago, I looked at Carly Simon and You're So Vain, and well, that was some pretty confronting lyrics. We got some very confronting lyrics on these next two songs. No Son of Mine came off the 1991 album We Can't Dance. Now, this is the story of a young kid facing an abusive home and having to get out, and his attempts at reconciliation and forgiveness with his dad. And the words "No Son of Mine" do not change through the whole video. You would hope that there's a bit of a happy ending at the end of this story. Not to be. I think Genesis are not happy, but they want to stay in the mess of this, and to actually realise that sometimes there isn't always the happy ending. In fact, often there's not the happy ending. And what we do in those situations when we think, oh, I've plugged up the carrot, I'm going to go and resolve this thing, and it doesn't resolve. What do? How do you move forward with that in a way that you're going to be able to keep living? There's a beautiful touch, but there's a great touch at the end of this video where the whole story has been actually in a snow globe, in a sense, a reflection of a time of life and memory, and what happens to that snow globe at the end. So we've got a live version and the official clip on that one. The official clip tells the story so well, but this is a pretty amazing song by Genesis right here. Some of the most confronting lyrics I think ever written in this particular song. There's no happy ending here. Poor kid, that's all I can say. He needed to escape because it was dangerous, but his dad won't have anything to do with him. And then we go from a small scale to a large scale. And this is Tell Me Why. This came off the We Can't Dance album again from 1991. This is a very, very confronting clip, this one. This is a video all about hunger and starvation and why it is that there's plenty of food going around, but not in all places of the world. So why is it that is the case? Interestingly, the royalties from this song actually went to some charities, so Genesis kind of walked the walk here as well. It's very nice to actually, sing a song like this one, but you actually got to live by it as well. But, it's a great thing that art provides us with an opportunity to be able to reflect on the things that we need to reflect on. And Genesis just did that. They weren't scared to talk about anything and everything. And, what life experience has gone into some of the writing of these songs, because they're pretty amazing, all of these ones. We're talking 1980s, 90s, and all of these songs today, so they're kind of a little bit more commercial at this point. So the links to those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips are in the description below. And I've also included my last video from Genesis Installment 1. So if you want to recap on that one, maybe before you watch this one, feel free. Well, what can we say about Genesis? As what's not already said, these guys break the mold. Absolutely. These guys were the pioneers of progressive rock. These guys are absolutely brilliant musicians, but instead of that brilliance taking them over, they did what they did to actually bring sound to the band and to the songs. And for that, Genesis well and truly deserved that 2010 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nod that they got, because these guys are quite unique in lots of ways. In fact, thinking about it, perhaps, given they are quite unique, really, I'm going to put these guys in the distinctive category, because there's no one ever been remotely close to these guys and never will be again. So distinctive. Well done, Phil, Tony and Mike, certainly the three that I grew up with. Well done, Steve and Chester. Don't forget your amazing drumming mate. And of course, Peter at the start. Pretty amazing journey that has been Genesis. And I trust you've enjoyed this mini-series on them. Well, that's it for today. If you come here for the first time or come back for another one to Life Reflections through Music, thank you to everyone for doing so. It's so great to see you all here. Well, that's it for today. Next time, we're going to go onto a song that once you hear it, you cannot get it out of your head. The George Baker selection. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.